spaced pieces, as in they are linked to the poem by Ginsberg, as in inspired by Run. They are actual howls, as in that film, Howl, recently that was on. Also, that poem is amazing. It changed American obscenity law forever. If you've not read it, go and read it. It's fucking brilliant. But I'm going to let Becca start.
And this is called I Was With You in Berlin, based on when Sarah and I were in Berlin, and we actually saw Howl for the first time there. We went to an English cinema, a little independent place, and watched it there for the first time, so it's kind of associated with Berlin for me. I was with you in Berlin, where the lights were familiar yet foreign. Street names were unpronounceable on my tongue, and my mouth muttered the accent, thick as stew in between your kisses, my English endurance on a German tram. I was with you on Museum Island, where the buildings rose like dreams of men above us, and the sun lay itself down on grey walls like a weary curse or a prayer for rest, where the Berlin Dome was surrounded by beggars and ice, and tourists slip, slide and tiptoe, their cameras' shaky hands capturing the stone steps and sculptures of a bucking horse, each muscle shivering in the January clean air. I was with you in Kreuzberg, where the streets were filled with dog turds and the bins are broken upside down, emptying their stomachs like drunken students, a medley of cans and bottles and cigarette stubs. The dead Christmas trees are all drying out between parked cars. I was with you in the cafes when the herbal trees arrived, their scent and colour like old flowers revived in the frost, and our cold fingers clutched their steamed surface, gradually warming ourselves at €3 a glass. As we walked past graffiti-covered buildings, past streets for tourists, past roads filled with cars on the wrong side, we map-tracked our way to the East Side Gallery. The cold embraced me more thoroughly than your arms, and your camera clicked the last of the Berlin Wall into place. At the Brandenburg Gate, where you bought pieces of wall to take back for your nephew and niece, where I deliberated over postcards and watched bicycles pass under the angel figure. Her arm rose in triumph as the stone fell in pillars of water from her impregnable height to the ground at my feet. I was with you at Checkpoint Charlie, where school children collected in gossipy American groups, and the sandbags piled up, reminding me of floods, where you insisted on wanting to know which side of the wall we would have been on, and my ignorance and lack of curiosity were barbed wire nets irritating your eyes. I was with you as we passed the shops full of mementos and innumerable pieces of broken up wall. We walked to the Tower of Terror, where a slate-dark building sat like a book full of the names of dead people, and I asked if we could leave, feeling the wind push us on to other places. I was with you in our tiny apartment on the second flight of stairs, where the woman with her tiny dog took her bins out each morning, and two girls on a balcony smoked opposite our window, observed your nudity after you got out of the shower. The walls were rinsed by our love-making sounds, cleaning myself in you, and emptying my skin of the stress of maps and money. Your fever-kissed lips brushed my cool face, and the night comes swiftly down, as we made another cup of thick-tasting peppermint tea. I was with you in Berlin, in Kreuzberg, at the Brandenburg Gate, and I retained their names like odd 1-cent pieces at the bottom of our suitcase, shaken out after months of unpacking by parts. I find our travel guide maps circled and arrows pointing our imaginary steps. On paper, we move again, across Potsdam Platz, down Friedrichstrasse, English endurance echoing among the German graffiti.
Woo! Woo, 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 woo.
Anna's going to end the night with her poem.
Okay, yes, and this one I'm not sure if I mentioned this before because there's a couple of people in here who have not heard this before. The Ruth in the title is a very, very dear friend of mine who I was thinking of when I wrote this poem, and I showed it to her first before reading it anywhere, and fortunately she was very pleased with it, and she said, "Anna, you've just summed up the last 10 years of my life, and I don't think I've ever had a better review of a poem ever. So thank you, Ruth." For Ruth, Betty Blue, and all the fucked up women I ever knew, who has marked their skin and body with the darkness in their head, who has offered up their body for money and found it taken from their hands without payment, who has been there with the white walls and all that noise, who has felt trapped by their own skull, who has been beaten by the one they loved, who has offered their limitless love and found it rejected, who has been made afraid to walk the city night despite lamplight, who has been made to feel their body is inadequate, that it makes them unworthy of ornament, who has changed their body, hair, skin, face, altered it so that you know exactly how fucked up and ugly they feel, who has cried wolf, who has cried for help but too softly, who has been made to feel their gender is at fault, who has lost the plot, lost their keys, lost their voice, their face, their shoes, their self-respect, their virginity. God, who they seriously doubt exists, only knows where. Who has abused pharmaceuticals, who has been abused by pharmaceuticals, white coats, nurses, police, and the rest. Who has been to hell and back, who has been to court to point the finger, who has been scared and alone, scared in the sea, scared of their own grey matter, who has been blacker and blacker in thought than the sky at night, who has failed to see the beauty in simplicity, who has forgotten the laying on of hands can be comforting communication, who has wept and flooded the room and half drowned like Alice, who was born in like Alice, who does not think they deserve to bask in the sun like a seal bent on a rock, who does not think the world owes them anything, who does not think their brain, their witty, artistic, sarcastic, maladjusted brain is worth nothing. Their achievements mere bones of things, no flesh and tendons to articulate them and make them real. They have had bones broken. They have wanted to break their bones just to feel. The bones proof that they are not automatons, who make no bones about it, who felt boneless, skinless, lacking in backbone, felt they've not got a good bone in their body. All bad bones, bones with just some sickness eating them from the inside out. They have been down to the bare bones of their person, who have sought out bones. Bones hang round their necks of dead mothers, brothers, fathers, friends, sisters, strangers, lovers.
Woo!
Well, I want to thank all of you for staying so late and keeping with us on a school night.